Good morning to you all. Warm and hearty welcome each one of you for today's program, today's 2 days conference on women migration, issues and challenges. I would like to welcome all of you to this virtual conference. It is our privilege to have you with us today. Dear participants, kindly mute your microphone and disable your videos throughout the session. On behalf of St. Anne's College, I would like to extend a warm welcome to 2 days e-conference on migrant women workers, issues and challenges, sponsored by National Commission for Women, New Delhi. I'm Ms. Poppy Nath, Organizing Secretary and Director of Center for Women's Studies, St. Anne's College. Today, we are honored to have Chief Guest, Professor Kathy Machui from Japan. Welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate all the participants, paper presenters, speakers for the conference, for taking time off your busy schedule and join us today. We hope you will find the program to be fruitful and engaging. Before we start our program, let us seek the blessing of Almighty, followed by prayer song. I request Ms. Sarita, faculty from English department, for Bible reading. Over to you, ma'am. Sarita, ma'am.
Thank you, Poppy. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Thank you. Today's scripture reading is taken from Psalm chapter 89. I will sing of the mercies of God forever. With my mouth will I make known thy faith to all races. For I have said, mercy shall be built up forever. Thy faithfulness shall thou establish in the very heavens. I have made a covenant with my chosen. I have sworn unto David my servant. Thy seed will I establish forever and build up thy throne to all generations. And the heavens shall praise thy wonders, O Lord, thy faithfulness also in the congregation of the saints. God is greatly to be feared in the assembly of the saints. Who among the sons of the mighty can be likened unto the Lord? O Lord of hosts, who is strong like unto thee, or to thy faithfulness round about thee? This is the word of the Lord.
In heavenly home I will enter the land.
The light of life belongs to the Lord, and we sing glory, honor, power, strength to the Lord, and we sing glory, honor, power, strength to the Lord. When power of darkness comes in like a flood, the light of life belongs to the Lord. We are the torchbearers of the future. The light of life belongs to the Lord, and we sing glory, honor, power, strength to the Lord, and we sing glory, honor, power, strength to the Lord. The light of life of the Lord, the light of life of the Lord. The light of life, the light of life, the light of life.
Light symbolizes knowledge and absence of darkness and unhappiness. Knowledge removes ignorance, just as light removes darkness. Let us begin our day with virtual lighting of lamp. In St. Anne's College, it is a tradition to welcome our guests with green greeting. As it is virtual meeting, we welcome our chief guest, Professor Katie Machui, with green greeting. We have planted a bountiful tree for you at Trees for Tigers, Sundarbans National Park, West Bengal, India.
That's wonderful.
Wow. Thank you.
Just give me a minute, Poppy. The slides are
Yes.
coming up.
Welcome you, Katie ma'am. We have planted a tree for our beloved sister principal, Dr. P. Amruta, at Trees for Ecotourism, Juluk, Sikkim. We also welcome our dynamic Dean, Associate Professor, Dr. Smita Asthana, IQAC Coordinator, with E-Tree Certificate, which was planted in Ecotourism, Juluk, Sikkim, India. Welcome.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Now I invite Dr. Smita Asthana, Dean Academic, IQAC Coordinator, for welcome address. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Poppy. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much. A very good morning, a very blessed morning from Hyderabad here in heavy rains. But yes, we are together and discussing issues which are very, very important. So at the outset, on behalf of principal, on behalf of St. Anne's College, I welcome Professor Katie Masui from Saisen University, Japan. A hearty welcome. This is virtual. Maybe sometimes you will really come to Hyderabad in India. Let's hope so. And I also welcome the different technical session speakers who will be joining us in time. We have Professor Vibhuti Patel from KISS Mumbai. We have Professor Rekha Pandey, Director Seed and former Head and Director of CWS, University of Hyderabad. Professor Mani Mekalai, Bharati Dasan University, Head of the Social Sciences Department. Dr. Dora from University of Cambridge, UK, and Dr. Rukmani Rao, an activist and founder of Brahmi Resource Center. So I'm sure all the participants are going to be immensely benefited by such wonderful speakers that we have with us today, giving us the perspective from various parts of the world. The story of St. Anne's is very small. We are a very young college. We are only 37-year-old college, and we started with just 2 programs and 106 students. And in these 3 decades, we have come to 4,500 students, and we offer 35 programs at UG and postgraduate level. We are in the top select colleges of the country. The college went for assessment and accreditation by NAC, and we got an A plus grade, which was a big award for us. We are also recognized as college with potential of excellence by UGC. We are also having a mentor status by UGC to guide the upcoming colleges. College has a vision of empowered women by academic excellence, skill enhancement, and value enrichment. So all our plans and actions are guided towards empowerment of young women who come to us. And coming to the journey of Center for Women's Studies, it is its 30th year. From 30 years, we have been at the cause of women empowerment, women awareness, and number of programs have been conducted by the Center for Women's Studies. At this point of time, I think I'll just tell them that they have done whatever can be done. And now our young and dynamic director is leaving no stone unturned to do things which we didn't think before. And then we are all passing through very stressful times. This pandemic has affected each and every person on this earth, from the mightiest nation to the most impoverished one. Everybody is suffering across all societies, creed, caste, social status, financial status. It's very, very challenging times, and we are all hoping and praying that normalcy will return soon. Coming to the cause of women, women migrant is a very, very challenging place to be in. I also feel that we are being very close to nature, as we have heard of migratory birds who go around the world in search of food. Same thing is with our women. They are going all across food for not for themselves but for their entire family and other dependents also. And this pandemic has brought in to the reality of something which we were closing our eyes to, that this is a reality and it is happening in a very painful manner. These women also have walked hundreds of kilometers, suffered as much as men folks and everybody else, and they have supported the entire families with them. They have taken the entire families with them. And what are they are facing, what are challenges they are having, I don't think we have sat much and discussed it. So today's conference, today this discussion is going to throw a lot of light on the fellow human beings, the fellow women who are migrant laborers, workers all over India, across states, across districts. This is a reality which is happening. So I'm sure that we are going to have a very challenging and enriching time to listen to all these passionate speakers who have sense of direction, sense of participation, and a sense of sharing what they have learned over the years. So I welcome once again our chief guest, Professor Masasi, and all the other speakers, all the participants. I'm very happy to have you all with us, connected with us today, and wish that many of you will welcome St. Anne's College. And we welcome you wholeheartedly to this 2 days program. Congratulations, Ms. Poppy, the Director of Center for Women's Studies, for the wonderful work that you are doing. I wish every participant a very happy learning time, and it will make us think more than what we. All the very best. God bless you. Thank you. Over to Poppy.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Ma'am, we have with us Dr. Professor Vibhuti Patel. Welcome you, ma'am.
Yeah, welcome to Professor Patel.
I would like to give a brief introduction about this 2 days conference. Women's labor migration is an important aspect of labor mobility in the region and can be crucial source for empowerment for women. It can be opportunities, asset ownership, it can build the opportunities, asset ownership, self-esteem, decision-making power. Main objective of this conference, increase awareness of good practices and determine if such practices can be implemented regionally and nationally. Aim to shed light on human rights challenges faced by migrant domestic workers is an irregular situation, as well as the gaps to ensure their protection. To discuss way to promote the immense contribution that migrant women make to all the stages of migration and yet consistently unvalued or unseen, to promote the protecting their human rights and gender responsive implementation at all stages of migration. As we have seen in this COVID pandemic, migrant workers have faced multiple hardships, with factories and workplaces shut down due to lockdown imposed in the country. Millions of workers had to deal with loss of income, food storages, and uncertainty about the future. Male, female, both, they faced enough in this pandemic. Talking about women migrant workers, female migrant worker for major risks including sexual exploitation, trafficking, violence, racial discrimination, sexual harassment in the workplace while seeking housing, while using public transportation, while accessing education and health services. This conference, this 2 days conference will provide a great opportunity for the prospective participants to share their knowledge, their research finding, experiences in dealing with migrant women and work. As such, this conference will feature presentation by international and national speakers which are cutting edge session topic. We have 4 technical sessions which with the theme of gender dimension and migration, gender-based violence and migration, COVID impact on women migrant worker, women, migration and development. It will be chaired by eminent resource person, Professor Vibhuti Patel from Mumbai, Professor Rekha Pandey from Hyderabad, Professor Mani Meklai from Tamil Nadu, Dr. Rukmini Rao from Hyderabad, Dr. Danila Dora from UK. We are fortunate to have prominent speaker, around 37 papers for 2 days conference. I'm sure it is going to be great learning for all of us. Now we proceed to the next. It is my privilege to welcome our chief guest, Professor Katie Machui. She is professor at Department of Global Citizenship Studies, Seishan University, Japan, teaches courses on conflict resolution and related subjects. She works with peace research and educator internationally in International Institute of Peace Education and Global Partnership for Prevention of Armed Conflict. As a peace educator, she recently focused her activities in Northeast Asia to study conflict transformation and practice building a culture of peace. She is currently an advisory board member for HUG Appeal for Peace, Global Campaign for Peace Education. She is also active in her participation in interreligious dialogue and Corporation for World Peace as a member of Women Executive Committee, Peace Research Institute, and Reconciliation Education Task Force of World Conference of Religious for Peace. May I now invite Professor Kathy Machui to address the audience. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Poppy. And I would like to speak to distinguished researchers and academias, our conference organizers and hosts. I am very honored to be here virtually, and I thank St. Anne's College Center for Women's Studies for organizing this very meaningful conference. I am a peace educator, and I'm going to talk about cultivating a just and humane society for the dignity of women migrant workers. Peace education cultivates the knowledges and skills, attitudes, and values that seek to transform people's mindsets, attitudes, and behaviors that has created or exacerbated violent conflicts. I work to cultivate a just and humane society, community, national and global basis. We live in the world of disparities, where few enjoy advantages. Some of the disparities obstruct the safety and rights of the women migrant workers. How can we create conditions and systems that actualize nonviolence, justice, loving care, respect, and other peace values? First, I would like to talk about the migration women workers in Southeast Asia and the Pacific to share what is happening in the region at large, the situation, the preventive measures, and proposal. Then I will confirm with you the present challenges the women migrant workers of India are facing at the moment during this pandemic crisis. Let me introduce to you Rita. Rita's first job as a migrant worker was domestic worker when she was 19. It was a painful and demoralizing situation where her employers had her sleep on the floor for 2 years with little food, no time off, and $20 per month. The rest of her wages were either withheld or taken by the agency that placed her. The end came when her employer accused her of theft. As Rita, migrant workers are at risk of discrimination, abuse, and at times even exploitation. Some receive wages that are under the minimum baseline. Some are victims of fraudulent practices, long working hours. In worst cases, they are victims of illegal confinement by their employers, or even victims to sexual harassment and threats. I would like to begin with the facts about women migrant workers in Southeast Asia and the Pacific. I share this with you because I feel that we can find answers to many of our inquiries to protect and respect the life of the women migrant workers in India. I understand that many of the women workers migrate within districts and states of India. What I introduce here could be some of the practices that you have conducted for years. I hope, if so, I hope you can confirm that what you have been doing is a good step forward. Globalization contributes to the flow of migrant workers to various countries. Migrant workers are needed in this present world, mostly in many industrialized cities and countries, as there is a decline in the workforce population, increase of aging population, and low birth rates. Migrant workers play an important role to address labor market needs and the sustainability of economic development in many countries. Women are great contributors towards the labor market of various regions, mainly healthcare, domestic work, entertainment, manufacturing, and textiles. Moreover, research says that the lack of available full-time employment for men leads more women to take up work as migrant workers in order to support their families and communities. Migration is not only due to economic factors. Man-made disasters and conflicts force people to move in large numbers. There are other reasons why people must migrate, such as poverty and lack of human development, gender inequalities, discrimination, abuse, and neglect, political instability, socio-economic tensions, bad governance, food insecurity, environmental degradation, and climate change. In addition, most women decide to migrate due to human rights abuses. For these reasons, women migrant workers have increased over the years, and yet the problems causing human rights violations have not been addressed. According to unwomen.org, quote, restrictive migration policies, weak contracts, lack of recognition, and undervaluation of women migrant domestic workers results in them being exploited and devoid of rights, including social protections. Further, restrictive policies lead to an increase in the flow of undocumented domestic workers who are left more vulnerable to exploitation, unquote. Then what are the attitudes of the employers, the people who hire the women migrant workers? In 2019, a survey of 4,099 women migrant workers were conducted by International Labor Organization, ILO, and UN Women. It was a project conducted to track trends in Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand. Japan was also added as an important destination country for low-skilled migrant workers in Asia. Findings from this study indicated that support for migrant workers has decreased within the last 9 years. Public support for migrants was mostly by the relationships people have with migrant workers, and their plight across the 4 countries remained low, and discriminatory attitudes of the public prevail with significant numbers in the 4 migrant destination countries mentioned earlier. One of the discriminatory remarks was that migrant workers should not enjoy equal working conditions with nationals of these countries. On the other hand, the people in the 4 countries showed more positive support for policies that particularly addressed gender equality, violence against women, and problems in women-dominant job sectors. The survey found that most respondents agreed that care work should be recognized as a profession, and that women migrant workers should receive maternity leave. Moreover, the public expressed support for shelters when women migrant workers face violence and for stronger enforcement against violence towards women. Let me share with you the proposal that came out of a workshop on harnessing compassion over plight of migrant workers that I attended a few years ago in Malaysia. It was a very comprehensive proposal that includes all levels of groups that we might be able to apply in India or serve as a checklist toward change for the better. First of all, we must understand the term or label correctly in terms of legal policy. Migrant workers are not the same as foreign workers. Number 2, in terms of legislation and protection of the migrant workers and the employers, we should regulate maid agencies, since the issues related to migrant workers are presently handled by Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Human Resources. So it was suggested that they should be placed under the Ministry of Women's Development to address institutional barriers. Number 3, We should conduct a nationwide campaign to create awareness on the appropriate ways to handle migrant workers among the society, reduce complaints, and improve the image of Malaysia. We can also educate employers on the tasks that migrant workers should do according to the ILO guidelines. We can also educate the younger generations on how to treat the migrant workers so that they will learn to respect them. Networking and cross-border referral are also important. We need to partner with NGOs, lawyers, and community groups. The training for the migrant workers is needed and must be done at the host cities or countries via reputable training bodies. We need to provide educational opportunities for the migrant workers to improve knowledge and skills. We need to treat migrant workers humanely. Number 7, we need to reduce institutional barriers, reduce red tapes, fees, and corruption. Number 8, we need to check the draft on the contracts for migrant workers. Number 9, we need to set up a monitoring body. Number 10, we need to establish mandatory daycare centers subsidized by organizations and governments. And number 11, finally, we need to train local professional domestic workers. We hope that these proposals can make a huge change. They also serve as preventive measures of abuse and exploitation. Then, what have the international and governmental organizations done to prevent exploitation of women migrant workers? From June 2014 through December 2017, 4 organizations, the UN Women Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific, the International Labor Organization, and IOMX, which has a very long name. IOMX stands for the International Organization for Migration's innovative campaign to encourage safe migration and public action to stop human trafficking and exploitation. And the Australian Government Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. They commissioned the Preventing the Exploitation of Women Migrant Workers in the ASEAN Project, which I am sure many of you are aware of. The objective of this project is to protect women migrant workers and prevent their abuse, violence, trafficking, and exploitation at the regional and national levels. Let me quote from here the 3 strategic areas of this project. Strategy number 1, enhancing access to evidence and knowledge about the gender dimension of labor exploitation and unsafe migration as inputs to national and regional policy development. The collaboration with the ASEAN Secretariat is focused on the generation of this information. So hopefully the evidence and knowledge will be applied to national and regional policies. Strategy number 2, normative and evidence-based policy advocacy in order to enhance the capacities and accountability of ASEAN state actors to prevent the exploitation of migrant workers. And strategy number 3, social mobilization and campaigning that includes the strengthening and peer support of young women in sending areas. It also aims to equip migrant women workers with new knowledge, enabling freer movement, and preventing exploitation by employers. The project hopes to reduce the exploitation of women migrant workers by identifying women's gender vulnerabilities and advocating for gender-sensitive national and regional policies to protect women's rights. Furthermore, UN Women has organized social mobilization and campaign programs in collaboration with the country offices. For example, in Myanmar airports, essential materials for safe migration were distributed to migrant workers. At Thailand border checkpoints, UN Women encouraged peer education through plays that raise awareness on safe migration and women migrant workers' rights. In Cambodia, information and communications technologies were applied to develop mobile apps to promote safe migration and to provide psychosocial support. UN Women focus on issues faced by women migrant workers and their engagement in paid and unpaid domestic and care work. They work to ensure gender equality, promoting sustained inclusive economic growth, and eradicating human trafficking. Their activities comply with the aims of Sustainable Development Goals 5, which is gender equality, Development Goal 8, which is decent work and economic growth, and Goal number 10, which is reduced inequalities. UN Women work with governments, civil society, and the private sector to promote safe migration for women, eliminating human trafficking and enabling policy, institutional, and socioeconomic environments that ensure women have equal opportunities and benefits from migration. There are also specific program support that includes establishing laws and practices that protect women migrant workers' rights, strengthening migrant workers' organizations, and advancing labor rights. Now about India. Country lockdown due to COVID-19 has put women migrant workers in a more challenging situation, as mentioned earlier by the principal. I read in the news that a labor rights organization called Ajivika Bureau reported that migrant home-based women workers in Gujarat form the lowest income group of India's labor chain. They're working for as little as 10 to 15 rupees for over 8 hours a day during the pandemic, in the face of employees' apathy and the lack of access to urban welfare services. The distress of migrant families that chose to remain in India's cities remains undocumented. In Ahmedabad, Gujarat, which is one of India's textiles hubs, women from many such families are employed as home-based workers by domestic and global businesses. Many of them told researchers they were struggling to survive because their wages had gone unpaid and debts were mounting. Here's a story of two Santali-speaking migrant women from Jharkhand who were trafficked into bonded labor in an incense factory outside Bengaluru. For over a year, they were illegally confined with their young children, and one of them was raped as punishment for trying to escape. Fortunately, they were rescued by local activists that support migrant workers. But this report does not make it to the mainstream news. The power and resilience of migrant women appears to remain unworthy of recognition. Women and girls have walked with their children the same distances as men and survived the same yet different indignities, humiliations, and brutalities at the hands of police, bureaucrats, and fellow citizens. The article says the lack of hygiene and sanitation, hungry children and toddlers latching onto their exhausted bodies become a problem of higher magnitude for women migrant workers on the road than men. To be a woman who embarked on a journey back home on one of those 40 lost Shramek trains where the toilets must not have been cleaned for over 24 hours is beyond many of our imagination. Yet, most narratives include depicting women as the sacrificial mothers and a glorification of their strength against insurmountable pain. How can these women migrant workers endure invisibility? Migrant women workers remain in the shadows of the dominant official state media, and there was little official recognition or support for women migrants. Moreover, there is a complete absence of a gender perspective in the labor laws of India. According to the research done in India, the migrant laborers are predominantly from dispossessed and impoverished Dalit, Adivasi, and Muslim communities from the most economically backward regions in the country. Most of them are short-term workers and perform dangerous and exploitative work alongside men on farms, construction sites, brick kilns, textile, and other small factory units. However, they are paid far less and rarely on time in these sectors. Research reports that women workers are usually the first to be told not to come to work unless called, and are most likely to become victims of trafficking, sexual harassment, and violence from contractors, supervisors, and employers. Moreover, they are not being able to get adequate quantities of food. Thus, we need a rights-based comprehensive approach that places the human rights of migrants at the center of the discussion to provide treatment of migrant workers, in particular, women migrant workers. Why does this violation against human dignity continues? We are gathered here together to share what is seriously happening to women migrant workers. We need to change the present situation to a system that responds to the needs of the women migrant workers in India. As mentioned earlier, we need to collect evidence and knowledge so that we can propose to our government, district, and national to develop policies that address and protect the women migrant workers. That is why we are gathered here today. We have professionals seeking ways to make things better. We have researchers to make quantitative and qualitative research to find the truth and the causes that debar the rights of these women. What are the facts? What measures have the national government taken to address these issues? What are the actions taken by the civil society organizations and international non-governmental organizations? What are the actions taken by the United Nations and International Labor Organization? I am confident that we will get the answers to the above questions at this conference. The importance of this conference is that we are here today in solidarity to make working conditions safer and caring for the women migrant workers. We are here to find measures to change the attitudes and behavior of the employers as well. We need action from all levels of organizations to achieve a constructive system that actualizes nonviolence, justice, loving care, respect, and other peace values, just as Rita was able to experience. Rita is now 35 years old. She has a second job as a domestic worker. This time, she has returned on her own terms, earning the average wage of $550. On her day off, she's learning how to sew, meets with friends, and attends labor law discussions to better protect herself. Let us hope that we will be able to hear more stories like Rita's second job. I wish you all a significant conference, and I look forward to the conference book. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Kati Machui. A very thought-provoking and insightful talk. Your thoughts are going to stay with all of us. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us today.
Thank you.
We have come to the end of this inauguration session. Once a great man said, feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present, not giving it. On behalf of St. Anne's College and NCW, I would like to thank our chief guest, Professor Kati Machui, for taking her precious time out and consenting to be the chief guest today. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. And thank you for the trees.
Thank you, ma'am. I thank Professor Vibhuti Patel for joining us today in the inauguration session. Heartfelt thanks to our beloved sister principal for her supports. We have fortunate enough to be backed by our IQAC coordinator, Dr. Smita Asthana. We have been constant support and gave us a lot of encouragement. Thank you, ma'am. I thank to NCW New Delhi for their support. Hearty thanks to all the participants for sharing their interest in the program. Thank you for joining us for this inauguration session. And we'll start promptly technical session 1. Please join us in technical session. Thank you. And the link will be same. With the same link, you can join for the technical session 1. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone. We will be starting with the technical session 1 in 5 minutes sharp. Right now it is 10:20. We will be starting at 10:25.